About 12 years old, been playing for about 15 years now, and I've always been an acoustic piano guy. I've always played on them, always used them, always been a firm believer that you got to play on an acoustic piano, but I knew digital piano technology has gotten a lot better in the last several years, so I ended up getting one anyway, and I'll tell you right off the get-go, I was very impressed with this thing. I should mention, too, that I actually found a pretty good deal on it, and I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can check that out. But anyway, getting back to the actual review itself, I'd had Yamaha pianos before, and I didn't think that this could really mimic the same action as an acoustic piano. And I'll tell you right off the get-go, it comes about, I would say, 98% as close, which is unbelievably real feeling. If you were just starting out, you probably wouldn't even know the difference. And I'm not saying that to be like I'm so smart or something or anything like that, or I can tell. But I've been playing for a while, and I can tell just a little bit of difference. But like I said, if you're a beginner or even been playing for a few years, it's very hard to tell the difference between a real acoustic piano and this one. So if you're just starting out and want a solid piano that will basically last you forever, that never needs to be tuned and cost like way less than a brand new acoustic piano, I'd recommend this thing in a heartbeat. It works really good. The other thing I like about it too, it's got a graded hammer action, so that means the heavier keys on the bottom, because when you play on a regular acoustic piano, the keys on the bottom are slightly harder to push just because they have a longer travel inside the piano itself. And then they get easier as you go up. This has that graded hammer action, and it feels very realistic in that sense. Another thing to talk about is the sound on this thing. One thing I remember, one of my teachers in the past had a Clavinova, and it was an old one, and it was $2,000 for one of those things, I believe, back in the day. But you know where it fell short? The speaker quality. It wasn't that impressive at all. This has better speakers on it than most of the $2,000 Clavinovas of days of old, I guess you could say, but they've really come a long way and up their game with the clarity of their speakers. Now, it may also have something to do with the fact that they use extremely accurate samples. What they do for these things is they'll sample an actual Yamaha grand, like their $25,000 full grand piano, and they'll sample it in like 24-bit and map it to these keys. So the sound and the speakers on these things is really good. Especially if you have a good pair of, if you have a really good pair of headphones, it may even sound better, but I'm just talking about the actual speakers that come with this unit. It'll play very loud without any distortion, and it just sounds very realistic. So for the money, it's an unbelievable deal, really, just to get a piano of this quality and feel and sound for what it costs. I really expected it not to be near as good for this one, and much better than some of the $200 or $300 digital pianos I had tried out, like the Williams and things like that. This one is far greater,